I am on a mission to double the horsepower of the XR150L. And I thought I'd just bring you along, show you the initial results of my shopping around, so you can kind of see the thought process and kind of a preview of what's going to happen with this little XR150L. So the meat and potatoes of the gains for this build is most definitely going to come from a big bore kit. So I took a look around at a lot of options, saw what's out there now. So here's what I found. This one looks quite fun. There is a 222cc big bore kit, and you can get it from Scooter Swap Shop. They also did a video on installing it, and they showed the massive potential of the thing. You can also, find it on eBay. It seems to just be like a low-cost, simple, all-in-one kit with a bit of a kind of cheapo-looking piston, but the potential has been demonstrated, so looks like not a bad option. The reason that I ended up not wanting to go with this kit is just because of the ceramic coating on the top of the piston. I do want to do a full WPC treatment on the top end of this bike, and I was told, depending on what this actually is on the top of the piston, it may interfere with the WPC treatment process. Moving on to some other options, there's the BBR kit. This one is well tested, so it's been out for a long time, so you kind of know what to expect. The interesting thing about this one is that it is using a cylinder that is mostly aluminum with just a tiny, I'm talking like super thin, steel liner inserted into it. The whole bottom portion that sticks into your cases is actually aluminum, and there's just a very tiny steel sleeve in that cylinder. From what I hear, this kit works well, it performs well, but the tiny sleeve has its limitations. And if you look here, so here's a picture of a well-used one, and you can see the top of the sleeve right there started to kind of give out, and you have some weird looking burnishing going on the outside of where it started to kind of give out. So the head gasket was probably getting a run for its money trying to deal with that. I want it to be as good as stock, like something where you only address the top end after another 20-30,000 miles or something. And then of course there is the super tried and true engines only kit. It is a 225 11.5 to 1 compression ratio, which is very healthy, and it is tried and true. There's nothing but good reviews on this kit. The downside to this kit would be the price. $700 versus other kits being in the $200 to $300 range, or even less. I mean, the kit from Scooter Swap Shop is $150. I did reach out to see if it was still available. You currently cannot get this kit, so it's off the table anyway. There's a ton of other kits out there for these bikes. There's just a lot of stuff on eBay and from the China websites. There's just so much stuff to choose from. I'm not going to go through all of it, so I'm going to kind of skip over to the one that I am taking a liking to, which is this kit from SX Parts. So this is a 208 kit, or more specifically a 68mm kit with seemingly everything you need, brand new cylinder, and it comes with a nice looking forged piston. Kind of something that I am leaning towards, since a lot of the other kits are using a really cheapo cast piston. I have a tendency to scream the shit out of everything that I ride, so I'm kind of leaning towards that forged piston, and then I'm going to reinforce it even more. It seems like it's a pretty good quality, robust kit at a very reasonable price, $175. I like the looks of this thing. The piston that it comes with is just a raw piston. It's just been milled, and there's no coatings or anything added to it, so I am free to do what I would like with it. Next most important thing for maximizing the power output on this build, I'm sure, is going to be swapping out that dinky little carburetor. That carburetor is good. Don't get me wrong, the carburetor that comes with the bike is a good carburetor. But when you size up to 200 plus cc, I don't know if the little tiny carburetor that comes with it is going to be good anymore. It's not going to run as well as it could. So larger carburetor is going to be a good idea. I wouldn't mind sticking with a round slide, especially considering it's a street legal bike. Round slides do very well with like all sorts of changes in elevation and conditions. Very easy to tune, but I kind of am an addict to the super sweet performance that the PWK or D slide carburetors offer on these little bikes. So I would like to start out by trying a PWK, and if I find that it is too finicky, because they are kind of finicky, they most definitely want to be jetted perfectly, then I'll switch over to something with a round slide. But I do want to at least get the PWK on there, tune it in, and see how hard she screams. So then the question is, which PWK? And right now, you can get the genuine Kian PWK 28mm for $131 from Rocky Mountain, which is pretty sweet. That is very competitive with the knockoffs, so I'm tempted to go with that, but 28mm maybe not optimal. I know in the past for engines this size, a 24 or a 26 is more closer to optimal. A 28 may be a little too lazy on the bottom, or may end up just being a little too finicky with the tuning. So I'm gonna go with a 26 from Mid-Atlantic Trials, an OKO. That's what I'm gonna try out first. If it feels like it dials in no problem and potentially could give more, maybe I'll step it up to that genuine 28. Next, we're definitely gonna wanna address the exhaust. The stock exhaust, modified a little bit to be a little more free-flowing, works okay for the stock setup with the uncorking mods to the intake and whatnot, and a little rejet on the carburetor. Works okay, but you can already feel on the top end, it's feeling like it just wants to load up a little bit, which tells me the exhaust is just not optimal. The only bolt-on solution that seems to be available right now is the Yoshi RS2 slip-on for $500. $500 for a slip-on is pretty rough, but I might do it if it comes back in stock. Unfortunately, it is just not available right now. I shopped around to see if I could actually get one, and I just can't actually get one. Instead, I'm just gonna go ahead and modify the crap out of the stock exhaust, make it as free-flowing as I can, and then throw a aftermarket spark arrestor on the end, because the included spark arrestor is terribly restrictive, so I'm gonna completely get rid of that thing, get rid of as much internals as I can basically, and then just throw on one of these Fishmoto universal spark arrestors, and it ought to work. And for $90, it at least puts it into the price range of like a super bottom of the barrel slip-on. Considering we are bumping this thing up massively in displacement, adding a bigger intake, more free-flowing exhaust, this thing will certainly benefit from a performance camshaft. This is another situation where there's kind of a lot to choose from as far as like the China eBay options go, but you really don't know what you're gonna get with that. I have in the past ordered like a bunch of cams for the CRF 230 on eBay, some of which were marketed exactly the same. Like, by looking at the pictures and whatnot, you would think you're getting the same thing. They show up and they're just wildly different. That just like freaked me out on ordering cams from like the Chinese, the China websites and eBay. Makes me want to stick with something that has a brand on it, but there's not a lot that is in stock right now. So they have this option from SX Parts. Considering it's from the same place that you can get the big bore kit from, I'm assuming that it can be used with good results with that big bore kit. I mean, it says right here, stage 1 is for the stock engine, stage 2 is for big bore kit installed, and stage 3 is for big bore kit and big valves. I can only assume that this is made to be used with the big bore kit that I'm gonna buy from them. Another option that is a branded option would be the webcamshafts.com 223/167 profile. Unfortunately, this is a regrind. I've purchased a good handful of cams from them and they've all performed well, like very well. But this being a regrind, kind of don't want to deal with that already, and then being $275 plus $250 for the core, which I might not even be able to get my core refund since this is an XR150L and they're regrinding this based off of the CRF150F cams, which I don't know how much difference there is. I don't know if they are even able to use an XR150L core. Whatever I end up getting, I'm gonna check it for clearance before I send it on the thing, that's for sure. But anyway, I also found that SX Parts sells this big valve head. It is specifically for the CRF150L, which has fuel injection, so it has a little fitting on the exhaust port, but I think as long as you plug that thing, it should be compatible. It looks very compatible anyway. Might have to get a CRF150F valve cover for it because it doesn't have that intentional air leak tube thing that comes out of the XR150L head. But anyway, I just want to point this out as an option. I'm not going to do it just because I already think I'm going to hit my goals easily without having to go to this extent. And then we get to the suspension. I'm not even going to do anything yet. So I have settled for using this bike on just trips, like easy road trips and easy adventure trips that just have like easy roads and super easy trails. And then getting to and from work and just running errands. That's the type of stuff that I have settled for. I don't use the bike for anything else and I don't want to. I'll do the occasional little rip through the dirt on the way back from work or something. But even that, I don't want to try to push it right now because I was coming back from work not too long ago and the rear shock like caved in. The original rear shock where it mounts at the top is actually pushed into the shock body. Right now I'm holding off on doing anything because an aftermarket solution is coming. A shock that will actually be able to hold up to stuff. It is coming, it is in the works, and I'm holding out for that. And then I'm not even gonna do anything to the front end because it's gonna make me want to go out there and test it. If I'm running another original rear shock, if they warranty this one, I'll just destroy another shock again. I'm just not gonna go crazy with it until we have that much improved rear shock option. Then we'll go ham. Anyway, probably next time you see me will be when we're actually building this bike.